And I apologize, first of all, for my Italian, which is a bit weak, because my native language is French, but here I need to speak Italian, and I'll try to be clear enough in this language. What I'd like to tell you today, I'd like to share a story, which is not just a personal story, but also the story of a group of women, a group of girls at the time. Some in themselves, some were 15, 16, 17. I was 20 at the time when the war broke out in Lebanon in 1975. And it was caused by circumstances which were external to us, a state of armed foreigners inside Lebanon. And slowly it became a state without our state. So we no longer had our freedom or the ability to do what we were entitled to do on our land. So following international and Arab pressures, as Lebanese, we found ourselves in a situation which was very difficult. It was not possible to solve the situation in a political or diplomatic manner, and the Lebanese army no longer had the chance to protect us because political decisions were not made freely, so they could not be made to solve this issue. So militias were set up inside our country, and we were members of a Christian group believing in the sovereignty as Lebanon. Also, Lebanon as the only country in the Arab world where Christians had the chance and still have the chance to live freely, like all the other non-Christians, to live their faith and to participate in running the country. So we were on the ground, and we had guns with us. We trained like men did in the beginning. And in this, we thought it was, in the beginning, it looked like a sport, a play, a game for us. We were not fully aware that war would soon break out. We were at a preparation stage, and we thought maybe the war will not break out. This was the hope we kept having. Unfortunately, the war broke out on April 13th of 1975. So we met in the middle of the city, in the center, where clashes were very tough, and we were animated by a feeling of competition, because we wanted to show as women, since we were a group of very young women, so we wanted to show that we were able to defend our country exactly like men. We are able to use weapons. We can die for our Lebanon that we have learned to love from our parents, but also from our community more in general. So as time went by, we found ourselves in very difficult situation. And on a night, May 6, 1976, we had with us an icon of the Virgin Mary on our barricade, which was the most forward on the front. And men were went to the commander, and they challenged us. They asked why we were in front and they were in the back. And they said, we cannot trust women. We cannot let girls be in the first line. So on the night of May 6, there was a truce in Lebanon. And people thought that the situation was quiet. But the day before, people noticed that on this barricade in the center of the city, girls were standing. 13 of us were there. So every 24 hours, 6 girls, and I was the 7th, since I was the one in charge. And that night in particular, something strange happened. At 7 p.m., I did my round through the building to check. I did my inspections to check whether there was anything wrong, because, I mean, the enemy was quite close to us, because in the center of the city, I mean, I can say they were very close to where we stand. So I went up to a different floor, and I felt this wish to pray. This was the first time in my life, and I called this my first prayer. So I had this wish, this desire to pray the Virgin Mary. I don't know why. Maybe because my mother has a Marian spirituality. I don't know, but I just bent my knees, I knelt down, I opened my hands, and I heard some chants. I don't know where those chants were coming from. And I started praying, and I told the Virgin Mary that there is a danger. If someone has to be hit, I want to be the one, because I couldn't bear that one. I couldn't stand that one of the other girls might be wounded. Some of them told their parents that they're here to make sandwiches for the militants, or to do other things like working for the Red Cross, but they didn't tell their parents they were here to fight. So I would not dare face their parents. So I asked. I wanted to be wounded rather than the other girls if someone had to be. So at 10 p.m., a very harsh attack came on us. And the men behind us actually ran away. And we remained alone. We remained on our own in this black neighborhood, in this dark neighborhood, and just hearing the noise of bombs, which kept going, and 4 or 5 hours. And at the end of this period of time, we had no ammunition any longer. So I thought maybe I go up. I can go up and I can try to jump to the next building to check where they are. I mean, these people who are shooting at us. So I went there alone. I didn't tell the other girls what I was going to do. I didn't want to scare them, and I wanted them to keep shooting. So when I jumped from one building to another, I saw hundreds of people below us. And I did what was necessary, and I ran away, I withdrew, and it seems that the commander of the attack was killed in this action I did. So they started pulling out. And I know it is paradoxical to listen to this story, especially because before throwing the grenade, I actually did the sign of the cross. I was so scared I would not throw that shell where exactly I had to. Otherwise, I could be discovered. I could be taken and killed. But it seems that I did the right thing. I threw it exactly where the right place was. I aimed at the right place, and then I withdrew. And 5 hours after the beginning of the attack, they started going back. They started shouting, screaming. We didn't know why they were screaming so much. And we realized this one day later when we read in the paper that the commander of that militia had been killed. So everyone started talking about us, and we felt so proud. We felt so proud about what we had done. I forgot I had been praying in the beginning. I had forgotten that I had felt this danger, and so there must have been someone who protected us. 6 girls against hundreds of people so close to us, and we were surrounded. We were encircled, and it was a miracle. But we forgot. And we resumed our life, feeling very proud. We were the heroes, and everyone was talking about us. And we kept going along in our life, apparently, like before. Then some questions were asked, especially during a truce. We started looking for the meaning of what we were doing. So we talked to each other. We kept talking to each other because as Christians, why are we being attacked as Christians? Why were we able to do that thing? How did we manage to carry out that action on the night of May 6th? So these questions started finding some answers, and I started consecrating myself. And I started looking for the congregation which was more suitable for me. So moving from a convent to another, and every time I felt quiet. I felt happy. And I asked, can I stay here? But there was, no one actually told me, stay here, don't go somewhere else. I didn't find the right place for me. That is what I would like to say. So one day I felt so happy and so quiet in the morning. And I took a friend of mine to a doctor. And she was working with the Military Council of Resistance. And I no longer went there because I was looking for something else. I had completed my journalism studies. I was working, and I was looking for God. So when I got to the door of the council, I was told that the commander was looking for me. Bashish Gemayel was looking for me. And he told us, once you came here, you should go to him. So I went to him, and I thought, now he's going to tell me I want 500 girls like those girls who were with you on that night. This is something that he had asked me beforehand, like those girls in the center of the city in 1975. So I was getting ready with a negative answer. I was preparing my negative answer, but I didn't want to make him to disappoint him in a way. So I was looking for a diplomatic answer, and then I got there, and to my surprise, he told me, "Look, our girls in Lebanon have changed. We no longer have the actual meaning of values. We don't have this feeling of responsibility, of belonging." So I'm thinking, if you take responsibility for all the militants, and while he was speaking, in a second, I saw myself with a military uniform, but this time I had the gospel with me, and I was evangelizing in the military environment. So I said, what I can do here, I will never be able to do this outside, so I must go back to the military. And I said yes in 2 minutes. So I was appointed once again, and I wore a military uniform once again, and I called all the girls who were with me, and we started. Many girls came because they were attracted. They were drew by the image they had seen in the papers, these heroic girls. And they were all surprised in the first training camp when they saw the gospel. So we started with the military training, first of all, but at night, we had meetings about the gospel. So this is how we started our work. And the nicest discovery was the sacrality of the church. I don't know how to explain in Italian. I'm not able to say this in Italian and nor even in French. It was the discovery of discoveries for us. God is present always with us. At the sacrament level, which goes beyond the logic and the human ability, the human capacity. So I registered, I enrolled with the School of Theology in the Vatican. So sometimes when we were, sometimes I had my military uniform in the morning, and at night we had catechism for young people. And in 5 years, our number grew, and many young people changed their lives, and they changed the way of defending themselves. We felt we had a very urgent need conveying to everyone the difference between the right to defend oneself and being violent, or just doing something violent and abominable for free. So we are defending our country, we are defending our community. We are not entitled to do more than that. So we must recognize we should not forget who we are. We are Christians, and we are defending the Christian presence, both in Lebanon and in the Middle East. So if we do not behave like Christians, we shall be judged for this wrong attitude. This is what really touched the heart of the military with us. So slowly, and as time went by, we were able to set up a group of chaplains, 30 priests with 10 religious women religious, going with the militants everywhere during masses, for communion, for confessions, while they were fighting. So we were able to convert the whole environment in 5 years, from 1980 to 1985. And then we're not allowed to go on because there were conflicts of power inside that environment. And we thought that it was the right time to leave the army. Our mission was over, so we could stop that kind of work, and we could find a new place for ourselves in the church. And this is what we did. We left on March the 12th, 1985. And for 3 years, we had a spiritual retreat. So we reflected together, and we prayed together. And in 1988, May 31st, we founded the Marian movement, the Lebanese, on May the 31st. Why on this date? First of all, because it was the day of the militant woman that we had chosen in 1982. And the second is the visitation. That is the woman that encounters the Virgin Mary. And from this encounter, a new story begins. So Mary changed our life, to our whole group, not just to myself. I mean, she changed our life because she transformed us. She converted us from a state to another. We no longer were in competition with men. It was a reconciliation. We were able to get rid of this feeling. We can do this too. We realized that was not the right behavior. And with the Virgin Mary, we were able to find again our female identity. And we were able to find the meaning of the national and social engagement. The Lebanon is no longer for us a geographical space. It is a space of values and of culture. And we used this term that blessed John Paul II had used in the 90s. And then we found the actual meaning of the engagement of women in society and in the church. And paradoxically, we shifted from war to founding a movement for life and for the safeguard and protection of human lives against all contemporary threats. This happened in 1995. And then in the year 2000, we founded the John Paul II Center for Family Life and Formation of Young People and Couples, with a center of family and couple psychotherapy. Now we are renovating a monastery of 400 years, which is destroyed. We want to turn it into a center for education in bioethics and reconciliation of couples and the rediscovery of the sacrament of marriage, to allow a rebirth, a revival of families. Because we started from this military setting with a clear idea in our mind. If family no longer exists as a natural school of values, as the place where life is defended, if we no longer have the family, maybe Lebanon and the Church of Lebanon will go away. So this was our target. This was the goal we wanted to pursue in order to make our small contribution to the reconstruction of our country based upon values. Our promise is with you, Mary, and for you, our Lord, we promise to serve Lebanon according to the teachings of the Catholic Church. Thank you.